Hey, you doing? It's Dave Gibb, Director of CHAPS, Canadian Haunting and Paranormal Society. So I've been toying around with this Kinect system for about half a year. Ron Knowles from RRLC made it for me. Test it out, see how things are with it. I'm really not one for the big toys, but it seems to be a big enough gig in the paranormal research world that we only need to maybe have a look at it and see what it is that and why it works. So it's been about 6 months. I've used it on about 20-25 investigations on a number of different situations. I haven't managed to get a false positive, which is good. That speaks a lot to the quality of the device that's being made. I'm going to speak to why I think that is, but I do want to go across and show some examples of both the false positive and why I think it occurred. And you can actually make up your own mind into that, because this is only my opinion. Right, this is only where I'm coming up with it, but you could prove me otherwise. The evidence that we have there could actually be the evidence of something paranormal, or it could be what I think it is. So you're going to see some examples of some things, and I'm going to talk about some things, and then I'm going to summarize it at the end. And if you don't like my opinions, well, then don't watch the video again. And that's that. Okay, so to start this kind of chitter chatter up, I'm going to go through a couple videos. I'm not going to go direct link. I'm not going to out anybody. Maybe the other guy, because he's a public guy, but I've got to talk about what is out there that really just burns it. So we've got a video here. Man, this is what for me personally kills it for a lot of what's out there.
There's someone on the couch. Someone's on the couch.
Okay, so there's two someone's on the couch. You'll notice, of course, that the arm and elbow points are always at the edge.
Left, darling.
She's got a movable unit.
Jeremy has. He's
mobile
trying to
unit.
take your picture.
I'm going to discuss why that doesn't work for me. But if you'll notice that everything seems to be on an edge, why is it that all these spirits always end up
See, you put your hand on your hip.
on a table?
Can you say hi with your other hand?
Up in the corner of something.
Like this? Look, can you see me?
You ever notice that the spirits actually never move around? They never walk across the room or the floor.
Stand up.
They stay static in one spot.
Stand up nice and tall.
That's something else I don't understand. What people
Can you wave?
go on about. It's amazing that spirit just obviously doesn't want to move anywhere. It just
wave. Say hello.
How stupid is this?
Come on. I can see you. You just have to wave back to me. That's the exact spot where I always see the air is fuzzy.
Oh, there's two in there now. And they're dancing. And one's completely, maybe the shape of a table and its legs or something. The algorithm is picking out things to map. And the other thing seems to be hanging in the wall there. Looks to me like something that's got creases in the background. If I take a look there, sort of, I don't know.
How tall you are.
Their dog. I don't know, but you know what? Like, to me,
reaching for the couch.
when I look at this, man, it just breaks my heart truly to see people out there that just lack intelligence. It's like when people use the K2 and stand next to a phone. You know, a digital phone or a cellular phone, and there's texts coming in, and they're getting the immediate gratification that there's spirit there. You know what? I've been doing this, as a team now for almost 15 years, and I'm not trying to be snobbish about it, but there's certain things that kind of cloud over simple people's heads, and there's people out there that don't necessarily know about the paranormal and how we research things. So this is kind of the silly stuff that really either makes us look really stupid, and science looks at you like, ugh, or what you're doing is convincing people that they've got spirits in their house when really it's a crease in their drapes. All right, so this video is by Steve Huff Paranormal. I don't mind hacking this guy.
My table over there.
Mark and Debbie Constantino went to their home a couple days after they did the murder-suicide. Said that they were being, talking to him. He also went to the Las Vegas shooting site a couple days after, and said that people there have been speaking to. Okay.
And I'll possibly hear you.
And he's walking around with a mobile unit as well.
It would be really cool if you sat or stood
now you
on the
can see the cue that's happening here. That anomaly being detected, just things that are sticking out, right?
If you can do that,
so you already
show
knows
yourself
that it's getting ready to map something.
I know it takes
he knows
energy.
the way it works.
Hey,
right?
You're on the chair.
Oh look,
Didn't I just
you're
ask
just
you to
randomly
go
on a chair again, or a table,
Hi.
and hey, you're not moving anywhere.
Okay, you're gone. So you did it. I appreciate it.
You'll probably
I know
come
that it
back
takes
on the
energy
chair.
Because in a ghost box session a few weeks ago, you told me it takes energy to do this, and it's not that easy. So I'm going to record here for another minute.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to
show up one more time,
and
you
edit
can,
there,
but you don't
and
have
maybe if
to.
you show back again.
Nothing I ask is
He's
anything.
probably
It's not
done
demand.
this a few times to see
It's just
where
help,
the stuff
so it
shows
can help
up.
me and you
Now,
both.
I'll show you why
Here's my
that
hand.
doesn't help. All right, so
You
he's
wanna
putting his
take my
hand in
hand?
front of the
You
camera.
can as well.
Okay, in front of the sensors, okay? And what this does is it
I'm
starts
feeling you.
a rapid
I don't know
mapping.
if this picks you up
And I'll show you what that
automatically
actually looks like.
every time.
Oh, look.
There you are.
There
right
he
on
is
my
again.
fingertips. Holy cow.
Absolute bullshit, okay?
Now, I'm aware
So-
that you're probably not dancing, but you look like it.
This makes us
A
all
lot
look
of people
bad.
think that
It's
you're dancing, and
embarrassing.
you're actually
All
on
right,
my
so I'm now
hand.
actually going to show you what I got a false positive and
So both times
why things like that happen, okay?
that I asked you to show up where...
Okay, so what I'm going to do now here is we're going to show you a series of clips. I'm just going to give you the preamble before each one of the clips. This was at an investigation of mine. I didn't use this as evidence because, I got to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure about it. So in the first video here, you're going to see the setup, right? I mean, the setup is what it is. It is a static STS, SLS, Kinect, whatever you want to call it. I use a little tiny iPad to view it, and the camera that I'm actually talking to you on right now is placed in behind it so that I can tape what's going on, right? It's being pointed down the end of a hallway. At the end of the hallway, I've actually got a digital camera, a digital video camera pointing back, and I'm doing that to capture the behavior of the sensors and to see what it actually looks at. I've made sure that there's no kind of a sensor flash happening. It all seems to be okay. So, as you can see, it's normal. It's doing what it's supposed to do. When I walk away, it traps me. Mind you, there's drapes there. Now, that's the thing that concerns me. Okay, so we've got, I normally don't put this in this particular kind of situation. That's where the client wanted it. There's drapes there. New windows, there's no draft, it's nothing like that. But there's drapes there, which means there's creases. And that creates potential problems. So again, we're not using a mobile unit. I'm going to further talk about why I don't care for that. But this is a static unit, all right, which I have not been able to get a false positive in over 20 or 30 investigations I've had for 6 months now. So that's the first video. Watch up. All right, that's a full charge. Second battery, full charge. Okay, let's see if that gives any false readings on that. Okay, so with the second video, as you can see, there's really what it looks like. You see these thousands of little tiny fingers all over the place. It's like spraying out, right? But as you can see, and you will see later, that they actually stay fairly static when it's in a static situation, meaning when there's nothing else in the room and it's pointed at a neutral background. This is the way I think it needs to be. It almost seems to be like a sentinel tool, much like Boo Bear and EDI, where if you're near it, you're going to be influencing what's happening with it. You yourself, the investigator, is what's going to be influencing. So to me, the best kind of situation would be this pointed at a neutral surface, alone in a segregated area, sequestered area. So, watch on. For the camera, checking 920. Still working. Okay, so as we see here, be it light or dark, the behavior of the camera is the same. That was something I needed to find out, if maybe the IR lights were affected by light or darkness, but really it does the same thing. It maps me on both clips that you see. Walking into the clip, going out of the clip, it just maps me, right? Now this is, I gotta give Ron Knowles from RRLC some credit on here, because I've seen some real slag jobs at this, but really, I mean, it's just mapping me, and that's a good thing. It doesn't seem to be affected by too much at this point in time. Again, light or dark, doesn't matter. You can see the standard setup. It's behaving like it should be, and it's the great thing about it being Sentinel at this point in time. It's not being moved around. So, behaving exactly the way it's supposed to be. This is the camera looking at the camera, the camera looking at the camera, looking at the skeletal tracking system, the Kinect, whatever you want to call it. And when we're looking at it in a sequestered situation, nothing's in the hallway, there's no movement happening. You can see that the IR beams themselves are staying very quiet, very sentinel. It's very, very still. This is a good thing. This is good because I'm trying to find out through the programming of this device or how it works that they don't just randomly pop all over the place. Because I watched this footage for, I had it up there for a couple hours, and really straight out, unless there's something in the room, this is what's happening, right? They're staying there. They're just lasers that sit in the same spot the whole time. So that's a good thing. That means that the device is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it's waiting for something to come in and capture it and make movement. What? All right. Now you'll see what I've got going on here. Okay, so remember how I was getting all upset about Steve Huff putting his hand in front of the camera? Watch what happened there. It's kind of inadvertent that I watched that video from Steve Huff and I did it there just to test to see, was my machine working? When indeed it does work. It works perfectly. There's nothing wrong with it. But what's happening at that point in time, right, is that I'm creating that sensor and making that sensor bevy and swath back and forth. It does occasionally, towards the end of it, it does eventually, slow down, right? And go back to its normal status of there's nothing there. But you could notice for a point of time, it's wonking and going crazy, right? For a serious amount of time there. And what's happening then, of course, is it's running around the room looking for anything that might reflect a human. Now, this is where my problem comes in when it comes to the mobile units, right? Because with the mobile units, as you're moving it around, think about that. Every single time you're moving that, it hits like a corner or an edge of something, a differential of temperature or something. It's going to be going, oh, there's something there, there's something there, there's something there, which is, I wonder why we always seem to get everything that's standing up in the corner. Like, there's a corner of a room. Look, there just happens to be something hanging there. Now, argumentatively against that, though, there's nothing telling me that spirit isn't this small, and that spirit doesn't hang out in the corners of your room like they're floating, rather than standing where we are. So there's arguments against and for that point, right? I guess it just seems to me kind of weird that spirit always seems to be on a table or a chair, or hanging up on the wall, and doesn't actually seem to move anywhere. It just seems to stay in one static little spot. I gotta be honest with you, if I knew that I was found out, I'd be moving around. And so far, I really haven't seen an example on any TV show or any video of something coming across the screen, walking. It's just me. One more to come. Okay, I'm gonna move this to the closed position. I want to see if that affects anything. 9:20, cameras are running. Here's my conundrum. So, I came upstairs, right? And I would have thought, originally when I watched this video, I thought, you know what it was? I was working down by my camera, which was right near the drapes. But actually, that wasn't the case. It was actually me closing. There's a steel gate in the middle of the room. But still, I thought to myself, this is really just a matter of, I'm coming up, I'm creating the mass in front of the sensor, right? I think by shutting the gate, I'm creating the mass in front of the sensor. So the sensor is going off and trying to find anything. So it's gone and found a crease on the drapes. That just made sense to me, right? Didn't happen beforehand. Didn't happen the other times when I came up or downstairs, which I also argue with. I'm going to go, why would it happen before? It's no precedent that would have been set for that, because obviously either the sensors maybe just hadn't grabbed the drapes to begin with. But that's happenstance, right? Then the only other thing I've been arguing with myself on this, I'm going up and down on this, is that actual anomaly that was happening in the top left-hand side was there before I got up the stairs. Because if you notice, it was there before the machine mapped me. That's the only thing that's confusing me at this point in time. I got to be honest with you, I really am. Unless maybe my movement created the drapes moving, I don't know. So that's up to you. So now I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. I'm saying at 6 months, I haven't seen definitive proof, but I have seen some terrible examples. I happen to think this has got to do with the crease in the drapes. That's why I didn't use it for evidence. But it does, it confuses me because it was there before I got up there. And it is in that kind of, little static hanging situation that I complain about. But I'll leave that up to you at this point in time, whatever your opinion is. My opinion is that it's not paranormal, that that's what it is, but part of me hopes that it's not. But I'm going to continue testing it. We've got a 2-day workshop coming up in April, and we're going to test the ever-living snot out of this machine. We're going to create as many of these false positives as we can and have it all done so that I can have a real 1-year opinion come about June on this and some other toys that we're playing with. So I want to thank you for watching my video. If you don't like it, you're lost.